Hey friends, before the episode begins, we have an exciting announcement to make. We are officially having our first ever podcast cruise.
Yay!
If you are interested in sailing with us and sailing with lots of other fun DCL podcast friends and family, you can join us on the July 18th to 23rd, 2026 sailing on the Disney Destiny. Knock out that brand new ship. Christy, where can our listeners go to book this sailing?
You can reach out to me at Christy@packyourpixiedoes.com. You can go to my website and go to the contact me section, and there's a form you can fill out and just give your information, and we'll reach out and we'll get you booked. This is a 5-night Caribbean cruise to Cozumel and to Castaway Cay, 2 sea days, which is exciting.
Yes, we are so excited. We are so excited to welcome you all aboard the Destiny with us. So we do hope that you consider joining us for this sailing. As we said, we are still working through the nitty-gritty of the details, but reach out to Christy to book, or if for whatever reason you are booked on this sailing or have booked this sailing, reach out to just let us know that you want to be part of the group. We will definitely be doing different meetups through the lounges. It's going to be just a genuinely, absolutely great time. So we hope you consider joining us. And with that, we will be on to the show.
Well, hello and welcome once again to the DCL podcast, where we're inviting you to sit back, relax, and we'll be on our way shortly.
Well, welcome back to the DCL podcast, your podcast to cruise a little smarter. I'm your host, Lake, and I'm joined by my co-host, Christy. Christy, we're back again.
We are. It hasn't been that long, but you can still ask me how I'm doing. I'm doing well, Lake. How are you doing?
I am doing pretty good. Christy and I just recorded like an hour ago because I've got us on an intensive recording schedule these last few weeks.
I guess we'll be ready for summer if we need to slow down a little bit.
Yes. And also, we just have so many great recordings to schedule, so many people filling out the form. It's fun to talk about cruising.
Yeah, for the listeners that might want to fill out the form or be on a show, we're working to get people scheduled. But if you haven't filled out the be on our show request form, it is in the show notes wherever you listen to this podcast. And it's also on our website at dclpodcast.com.
Turning towards our sailing today, we have two things I am excited for here.
You're always excited.
Always excited. First off, Southern Caribbean, always some exciting port stops to talk about.
Yep.
Second off, such a beautiful ship. Disney Magic needs more love.
The OG. And a third excitement is we have Kara back on the show, and she came on and did Alaskan ports with us and killed it. And so Kara loves to cruise, which is awesome for us. And so she is going to give us everything about her magic cruise. I'm very excited about that.
Thank you for having me back. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, like we said, we did cruising or an Alaska cruise ports episode fairly recently, and Kara had so many great things to say. I was very excited to see she filled out the form to talk about the magic. And of course, once again, a very adventurous cruise that we're going to be discussing here. So Kira, thank you again and welcome back to the show. Why don't you begin by just elaborating on what sailing we're discussing?
So we did a Southern Caribbean cruise on the Magic out of Puerto Rico about a year ago. And we actually did this same cruise with a very, very similar itinerary about 7 or 8 years ago with our twins, and we absolutely loved it. It is very, very port intensive, but it just hits a lot of islands and ports that aren't typically hit on cruises with Disney. And the timing worked great for us, and we were able to do it with some family. So we booked it, and that's why we did it. And we would do it again. And
who all sailed with you?
We sailed with my brother-in-law, sister-in-law, their 2 boys who are elementary school age, and my in-laws. So we had a nice group. It was super fun. We all flew in and came from different areas, but then met in Puerto Rico and stayed at the same hotel before and explored Puerto Rico together a little bit before the ship took off.
And were your kids on the cruise as well?
They were not, which was a very sad thing for them, knowing they had done it before with us. They were finishing up college, their freshman year of college, so they could not come. So it's unfortunate for them.
So you mentioned that you did about a day in advance in San Juan. What were you able to explore in that day?
So we stayed at the Sheraton Puerto Rico Resort and Casino, and it was a great location. We just walked around that whole area. We ate in the area. We were able to walk down by the marina. We were The port that we left from was not right near the hotel, but fairly close. And so, yeah, we just explored that area and did some shopping and eating, trying the different ethnic food. And that was what we did before we left. And then we just took a cab or an Uber over to the port in the morning. We also hit the casino.
Did you win?
No, no. We lost our money right away and we're like, this is why we don't gamble.
Well, San Juan, a little bit of a different setup, embarking on a cruise. What were your thoughts on your embarkation process?
It was smooth. So I will say my husband and I sailed concierge for this cruise. The rest of the family did not. So for us, it was very smooth. But I do remember it from when we did it about 7 years ago also. And it kind of feels like you're in a giant warehouse when you go to the port. But they do a really good job. It ran very smoothly. And the rest of our family did not have any issues getting on or going through security or anything like that. It was very smooth, moved fast.
Let's go ahead and stick with that concierge for just a moment then, and tell us what benefits drew you to concierge and what you were able to take advantage of pre-booking then.
So for us, we had stayed concierge a couple of cruises before that, and we are broke. So we are now we feel like we have to do concierge all the time because it broke us and we love it so much just for all the extra benefits, not broke by money, but the benefits for us are being able to have the services of having somebody book, Palo for you and getting the times that you want, the spa services, getting the times that you want, the services that you want. What else? We did mixology. My husband did a bourbon tasting. We did a tequila tasting. And so we were able to book all of those things, have them book them for us all ahead of time and get them in the time slots that we wanted. So in addition to, we did book a few excursions through Disney. And so then they were able to book those for us ahead of time.
And you booked for everybody, right? For the excursions?
One of them we included, my in-laws were included, my brother-in-law and his family didn't want to, but yes, I do remember also from Alaska, and when we were concierge and we were able to book for everybody else, even though they weren't staying in concierge, which is a really nice perk for them.
Yeah, that is one of the perks that you can take advantage of. Obviously, if the rest of your party is not concierge, they can't go into the lounge and take advantage of those offerings that they offer in there. But concierge will pre-book if you are doing excursions with other people that are not in concierge, they will book that for you. We were able to take advantage of some of that when Lake and I sailed last summer to Lighthouse Point, where we were able to get each other in for tastings and things like that.
I think the other thing that intrigued us was the Magic had recently come off a dry dock and the concierge was new. And so we were able to check that out and it's beautiful. It reminds me a lot of the Wonder, Sears on the Wonder.
Yes.
Set up almost the exact same way. So it was nice to be able to explore that. The concierge rooms were all, refurbished too.
What room did you have?
We had a deluxe veranda. It was lovely. It felt new. It felt like you were walking into a new room.
Yeah, that's nice. And the thing about the Wonder versus the Magic Lounge, the Wonder Lounge was refurbished first and the Magic came second. And I think they saw some of the things that were better. I feel like they did improvements to the Magic, just a little bit over what was on the Wonder. I liked the Magic Concierge Lounge versus the Wonder just a bit more. I mean, they're very minuscule differences, but it's still something that I noticed.
Agree.
Well, let's go ahead and stick with sailing on the Magic here. We've got some amazing ports to discuss, so we will not be able to hit every detail. But what were some highlights for you of sailing on the Magic this cruise?
Of the ship? Yeah. I think also what was new for us was the lounge, the Soul Cat Lounge. That was new and that was part of the dry dock. And we spent a lot of time there. We loved that lounge. We would go there every night before dinner and have a drink. My husband loved the old fashions that they bring out in the box and then they lift the lid and it's all about the presentation. So we really enjoyed that lounge. I like Rapunzel's Royal Table, even though I think it's very loud, but we did enjoy that very much. And it kind of ties in with the theming of the show. And just for us, it's very much a nostalgic feel. It was the very first cruise ship that we went on and we've been on it, I think 2 other times in addition to this cruise. So I love how intimate it is. It's easy to get around. And so for us, it was just about exploring those spaces again and just enjoying some of the nostalgia of the ship.
Love it. And did you take advantage of seeing any of the shows on board?
We did. We saw all of them. And we had seen Rapunzel one other time, I believe. And we had seen the other shows before too, but you can't beat a good stage show on a Disney Cruise Line ship. So we did see all of the shows. And I can't remember, I think the other was a magician maybe that we did not see. But we took advantage of a lot of the adult area lounges also, since it was just my husband and I too at times, and enjoyed, the various comedians and the various lounges as well.
Were there any activities that you got aboard on the ship that were highlights for you?
We love a good trivia. We don't do a lot of it, but we do like to try it at least once or twice. We've never won, but it's just fun to go in there and see where you kind of stack up against the rest of people. It was fun. We enjoy doing that. I like going to the towel folding class if they offer it and it works out. It's just kind of something different and fun. We've done the drawing class where they'll walk you through the steps on how to draw various characters. We enjoy that. But because it was just my husband and I, we tend to just kind of relax and read and spend some time in the adult only area and just enjoy each other's company and the peace and quiet.
You mentioned pre-booking spa services. What services did you book and what did you think of them?
I had a facial and a massage and they were fantastic. I have always had great luck in the spa. I really enjoyed my services. And then I also did get a rainforest room pass this time. And I do enjoy that. It does tend to get busy in there at times, but I think if you can hit it in the non-peak out, times, I think that's the key, is to just, especially when you're cruising all day long and you don't have a port stop. Or I would find sometimes we would come back from a port early and I would go in there and it wouldn't be busy. And then my husband he always likes to do the men's shave and facial, and he did a massage as well. And he was happy with both of his services. Those are the two that we both tend to always book when we go on a cruise. We don't really veer from anything else. This was the first time I had tried the rainforest room.
Have you done the rainforest room on the newer ships? The treasure?
No, because I haven't been on either of those ships yet.
Well, let's go ahead and swing into dining real quick. Any highlights from rotational dining?
So interesting. I mean, this is just a side note. I actually had gotten sick prior to going on several months prior to going on the ship and was dealing with some medical stuff. So I went into this cruise strictly gluten and dairy free for the first time as I was trying to work through some stuff. So I debated going back and forth of whether to put it on my profile, and I decided to because I knew they would help me stick to it. And I was pleased. I was very pleased with how the whole process worked. And I'm really happy that I did it because we're going on a cruise next summer. We're taking my son's girlfriend and she has celiac. So it actually gave me a chance to kind of see what the whole process was and how it all works. And I couldn't have been more pleased with how everything worked from breakfast to dinner time and anything in between. I love Mickey waffles. And so every night I would put in an order for Mickey waffles and I would go to Cabanas in the morning and I would say, I'm here for my order of Mickey waffles, and they would get them for me and bring them to me. It was great. And, you just have to think, and I picked all my items that I wanted to eat for dinner the night before each dinner, and I had no issues. We went to Palo for brunch and I had no issues there either. And everything was really, really good.
Great.
Love it. Any other thoughts from your Palo meal?
Oh, it's always so good. I don't know. I mean, I've never had a bad meal there. I really haven't. And it was, I felt like I had plenty to pick from, even though I was doing gluten and dairy free. It was delicious. Just delicious.
What's your favorite item on the menu there?
This is the almond croissants. I just love those almond croissants.
But those aren't on the allergy menu.
I know they're not. So I had like a little tiny bite on that cruise, but those are my favorite. And it hurt me not to eat a whole one, but I do enjoy the chicken parm as well. And we love the specialty pizzas. I'm trying to think what else. And my husband loves the tomato soup. All good. Can't go wrong with any of it.
Love it. Any other thoughts on sailing the Magic before we move into these amazing ports?
No, I mean, we had a great experience from start to finish. Our stateroom host was fantastic. We had no issues. The concierge hosts were great. They were even just great about making sure that they had items in concierge lounge that were gluten free, or if I needed something, they would go and get it. It was great. The concierge lounge was busy. It was a busy cruise. I think it was almost all full, but it was great. I have no issues at all.
Well, then I think it's time to disembark the ship for, once again, some amazing stops. Southern Caribbean sailing. You got St. Kitts, Antigua, Dominica, St. Lucia, and Barbados. Where did you stop first?
St. Kitts. And this was an island that we had been to when we did our cruise, this itinerary several years ago. And we essentially did the same thing. We got off. We walked around the port. We went shopping. St. Kitts is the island where you get off. And once you get right into like the shopping area and past security, there's people standing there with monkeys, and you can hold the monkeys and take pictures with the monkeys. Of course, you have to tip them. And so we had pictures of us with our two boys holding all these monkeys 7 years ago. And so we actually found the same exact guy that we had pictures with 7 years ago and showed him the pictures, and we took pictures with him again. We did that, and then we hand sanitized very well before we went and walked around. And we shopped and just explored the port. We really didn't do a whole lot in St. Kitts. The rest of our family actually took a cab to a Marriott and got a day pass at the Marriott and had a great experience. The kids played in the pool. They had a cabana at the Marriott and were able to eat lunch there. And then they took a cab back to the port.
Awesome. What an interesting day.
Yes.
Well, let's move into Antigua then.
In Antigua, we took a cab to the beach and just explored different beaches. It had stormed the night before, so the water wasn't that blue water that you typically see in Antigua and that we saw when we were there last time, but we still had a lovely time. And the first beach that they took us to, I don't remember the name of it, but it was right out near the Sandals Resort on Antigua. So while we weren't on the Sandals Resort beach, we were right next to it. And so that was a beautiful beach. And there were bathrooms. It was clean. We were able to get 2 chairs with an umbrella and walk a very long ways on the beach and just explore the beach. And we stayed there for the majority of the day. And then we took a cab to a different beach and explored that beach and stayed there for a while. And then we went back to the ship. I think Antigua has 365 beaches. So they say you could hit a beach each day of the year. And so we remembered that from when we were there last time. So we just told the cab driver, take us to some of your beaches and let us explore.
So did you rent the cab for the day, basically, negotiate that and have that cab wait for you?
I believe on Antigua, we did that as well. And I think he gave us his business card is what I remember. And then we just negotiated, and I don't remember the price, but it wasn't that far from the port. I want to say maybe 20 minutes. It wasn't a long cab ride. And then he just came back and got us. We called him and he came back and got us. So if I was worried, like, well, what if he doesn't answer his phone? There were always cab drivers coming to this beach. So I felt like if for some reason he didn't come back to get us or answer, there was an option to get back to the port.
And did your family do that with you?
In Antigua, they did not. They did not do anything in Antigua. I think they either stayed on the ship or just got off and explored around the port.
Antigua's an industrial port a little bit, right?
It is.
So you have to go out a bit to get.
But it is a beautiful area. The beaches are beautiful if you can get past like the downtown. There's not a lot of great shopping or areas to walk around. It can be a little sketchy in areas, but the beaches are beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
Let's move into Dominica then.
In Dominica, we did not schedule anything here as well. And our plan was to get off, explore the port, and find a cab driver to take us somewhere. And we got off and it was really, really hot. And I think, this was our 3rd stop. And we were just like, you know what? Everywhere we went, everybody was like bombarding us for like, we take you here, we'll take you here. And like, it just nothing sounded great. And they were all very like, just very pushy, we felt like. And so we just decided, you know what, like we're just going to get back on the ship and make it a ship day. My family did an excursion through Disney where they went into town and then they took like these little they weren't trains, but it looked like a train, but it was like an open air kind of like cab that had people in it. And they took them to what was supposed to be these botanical gardens. And you were supposed to be able to see parrots and hold parrots. Well, it ended up kind of being a bust. It wasn't, I guess it was very dry. Nothing was very green and lush. And there was one parrot hiding in a cage. And so that ended up kind of being a bust for them. But the port is, when you get into Dominica, you are right in town. And they line up shops and little like huts all along the port and the sidewalk for people to sell stuff and walk up and down and see. So that was neat, but there just wasn't a lot that intrigued us there. So we saved our big excursions for St. Lucia and Barbados.
Let's move into St. Lucia then.
So St. Lucia was a port that was one of the reasons we wanted to go on this cruise was because when we went last time, we loved St. Lucia so much. And so this time I actually booked something outside of Disney and I went onto TripAdvisor and Viator and kind of read different reviews and ended up booking a private excursion with Captain Cliff Adventures. And they picked us up. We had to walk a little bit, but then just kind of onto the other side of the port in the shops. And then we got on their boat and there were 4 of us. So it was my husband and I and his parents. And the boat only could hold 4. That was the capacity in addition to the captain and the first mate. And then they took us on a tour all around St. Lucia and we were with them for 6 hours. And so they provided snacks, they provided drinks. And then we stopped at 3 different places to snorkel. And we stopped at several different beaches that they pointed out to us. We went and saw an area where they filmed Pirates of the Caribbean. So that was really cool. We went into a bay, which is a very it's kind of tucked in. And there's a lot of people go in there and they'll dock and they'll get off and they'll shop and they'll eat lunch in there. But there's a lot of very rich people that live in that area and a lot of actor, Oprah had a home in there apparently that she had built at one time and then sold. And then George Foreman had a home in there high up on the mountains. And so they pointed all these beautiful homes out to us. And then our last stop was at Sugar Beach, which was truly incredible. And that's a beach that's right between the 2 what look like mountains, but they're called the pitons. Yeah. And so you're on Sugar Beach and you have a piton on either side of you. And we snorkeled on Sugar Beach. We had great snorkeling. You could get drinks and stuff there as well. But we just stayed at Sugar Beach for a while and snorkeled and swam and hung out and took pictures. And then they brought us back to the port. So it was a great day.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah, what an amazing day.
I love getting off a ship and getting into a boat. And I have said this so many times, but it is my favorite excursion opportunity.
I think it was really cool because the 2 people that were the captain of the boat and then the kid, I mean, he had to have been 18, 19. They were local and you could just tell how much they loved their island and their knowledge for the island and what they shared with us was really, really special and unique. And I think it really helped us understand them and their culture. And they took us to different fishing villages. And I just think if you can do it, sometimes doing those private excursions like that with the locals it really gives you an experience that's very immersive.
Yeah, we are doing something pretty similar right now with our European trip where we found the tours on Viator or TripAdvisor, but then if you dig deeper, you can find out where those tour operators are and either book and even get in contact about them because we found out that it's you can customize the trip if you don't book it through Viator, which was another bonus, and it was still cheaper.
Bonus.
Yeah, I think that the customization too is a big thing because there might not be something that, we all wanted to do, but they kind of said, these are our options, here, this is where we can go. And then, based on kind of what the water's like and the seas are like, also will determine if we could stop. And we were able to do everything we wanted to do.
Do you know what your family did with the kids?
They did not do anything in St. Lucia and they regretted it. Yeah.
Yeah. St. Lucia is a really trending port-vacation destination right now.
My husband wants to go back and just go to St. Lucia very badly.
My sister is trying to get my family to do a St. Lucia trip.
Yeah. I looked at the bay that we stopped in where the rich and the famous are is called Margot Bay, Marigot Bay. So
you going to go stay there, Lake?
Yeah.
Probably not there.
Sandals has a lot of properties. They have 3. They're really nice that they can connect to one another. So you can stay at one and play at 3. That's their language or whatever. But there are one of their properties, you can see the pitons. So it's just nice if that is important to you.
Yeah, so they're really cool to see. In fact, I collect Pandora charms. And when we went back, I found a Pandora charm in port that had the pitons on it. So it kind of is like being in the mountains, but then also being at the ocean. And it's kind of that perfect world of both landscapes. It's a neat area.
Well, you mentioned having another big day in Barbados.
So in Barbados, we took a cab. And again, this is a cab that we negotiated because it was about a 50-minute ride there to Foursquare Rum Distillery. And the cab driver then waited for us and while we did a rum tasting and toured the distillery. And that was really, really cool. My husband's a big rum drinker. And so it was super fun to go to the Foursquare. And we actually drove through the sugarcane fields and watched them, chopping the sugarcane down that they use to make the rum. And then you can tour the property and the grounds. And then you go into their, it's not a restaurant, but their shop in their store. And we sat down and we did a rum tasting. And so that was super fun. And the gal that did it for us was a local and she did a great job. She just did a great job. So that was fun. And it was a great way to see the island also, again, with a tour, with a local who took us. And then he took us back along the water. And again, we went past Sandals Resort and a bunch of other really nice resorts along the beach and were able to explore the island that way. My family did an excursion through Disney, and they went on a catamaran to the ocean, and they went snorkeling and saw sea turtles, and they really did enjoy that. It was a lot of people, they said, but they did enjoy it, and it was nice. The one thing that Barbados was experiencing, the red seaweed.
Like red tide?
Red, yes. And it was really, really bad. So they actually, like, a lot of excursions were being canceled, and a lot of people weren't able to go in the ocean. So I'm actually glad that we chose the rum distillery and didn't get in the ocean. So, but yeah, it was a great day.
Awesome. Of your first 3 stops, is there anything that interests you now that you would go back and do?
Yeah, I think if we went to St. Kitts, I think now I would book an excursion there and try to go to a beach and do some snorkeling. We know we've seen the area, the port now, and there's just not a lot of shopping. So I definitely would have booked an excursion to go snorkeling. And then in Antigua, we like to just go to the beaches and explore the beaches. So if we could find another beach to go and explore, we would do that. That's what we did the first time when we went about 7 or 8 years ago. That was through Disney, though. It was like a separate spot on the beach, and then Disney kind of had all the chairs, and there was a lunch provided. And that was a neat day. So there isn't anything else in Antigua other than exploring the beaches. Dominica, I've heard, has good hiking and waterfalls, but it was too hot. It was just too hot to go hiking in Dominica. In St. Lucia, I would do that again. Or if I was in St. Kitts or Antigua, see if we could find another private excursion and kind of explore the island like we did in St. Lucia.
I was in St. Kitts before, and part of the Wonder of the Seas cruise, which I think you can find the trip report on the website. But we went to, it looks like Banana Bay Beach, or in that area. It was really nice. Oh, Cockleshell Bay. And this, I think we booked through the cruise line, and it was quite a bus tour around the island, which was actually really nice too. They did one of those drive-offs, like where you drive off and you get the overlooks. And usually I'm not always a fan because it's a little bit too touristy, but this one was really good. The scenery was gorgeous. So yeah, I would definitely recommend a beach day. And
I think in Dominica, it sounded like, you get back on the ship and you kind of start talking to people about what they did, and people were pretty on the cruise ship. The general consensus I felt like was people were kind of disappointed with Dominica and what they had to offer. And I guess not a lot of cruise ships stop there. And so when they do, that's why the people are so pushy, and there are just not a lot of options because of the fact that not many cruise ships stop there. When we did this itinerary several years ago, we stopped at Martinique instead of Dominica, and the beaches there were beautiful. So I don't know a lot about Dominica other than it was very hot and steamy and it was their rainy season. So, but the general consensus felt like people were kind of disappointed in it.
That is something that's interesting about the Southern Caribbean sailings is, in the best way, they're very inconsistent on where they go. Or we could do 3 of these shows and have 3 completely different itineraries. And there's always going to be a mix of the same ones, but there's always an island or 2 in there that is just a little bit different. But also speaks a lot to the many, many other ports that are available down there that Disney does not get to go down to quite often enough.
Now that Disney's going to have so many ships, it would be really nice if they could take like a lesson from maybe Celebrity. They want to make it easy. I totally understand that. So have the Dream occasionally do the 10-night sailings from Fort Lauderdale. Most of the other cruise lines do this. You can get down to the ABC Islands, so the Aruba, Curacao, and Bonaire. And so you can get to these places and give people a new exotic destination that people want to go to. Come on, Disney, listen to us. We have ideas.
My family, yeah.
Yeah, it was really nice, St. Kitts.
Why don't we turn it back to San Juan? Because you did mention that you did a little bit post-cruise as well there.
Yes, we did. So we had a later flight out of Old San Juan. So we were concerned about what to do with our luggage. And so we used an app. I think how I found out about this app was actually from one of the concierge hosts. When we were kind of just discussing what we were going to do in Old San Juan, they suggested this app. And so we downloaded it. It's called the Bounce app. And it's a place where you can look for different hosting spots, essentially, to host. They'll store your luggage for you. And there's a fee. It's a small fee. And then we tipped them. And so we did the Bounce app and we found a place in Old San Juan. We took a cab to it. And then when we got there, other people had already been storing their luggage. So I felt like it was probably a secure location. It was in the back of a restaurant that they kept our luggage up on a kind of a stage, but there was, it was partitioned off. and everything was tagged, and we got, a tag to take with us. And then we went and explored Old San Juan and walked along the path along the water that ended up then up into the forts, and walked along the forts and kind of explored the forts. And there was a market going on, like an outdoor market. So we explored that and got some food. And then we walked around Old San Juan and did some shopping and did the rest of our souvenir shopping, and then went and had lunch at the restaurant that stored our luggage for us, because they were known to have the first pina colada, or the first original pina colada in Puerto Rico. So we went there and it was a very good pina colada. Ate lunch and then took our luggage from there and took an Uber back to the airport. So I think all in all, like we were off the ship by probably 8:30, and we stayed in Old San Juan until about 1:30, 2 o'clock.
That's brilliant. And then while you were eating your lunch, you got to look at your luggage and see that it's still just sitting there. I love that.
Yeah. And you can rate them and review them on the app, so that, I wouldn't have left it there if there were poor reviews or there were no ratings. But the fact that there were good reviews and ratings of this particular restaurant made me feel more comfortable as well.
Like, we need to start a Orlando luggage storage situation. We could make a little extra money.
Christy, there is zero chance that you want people's stuff in your home.
But I want people to come over and get their stuff. I mean, I have a garage. It could go in there, but
Zero shot.
got to pay for my cruise habit.
So you've done this sailing twice already. Would you do it again?
Yes, I would. I hope, we actually looked at doing it next summer. I believe Disney has doing a 10-day Southern Caribbean, but it also goes to Castaway and Lookout Cay, I believe.
But it also goes to like St. Martin, which is not, I'm pretty sure. And that is not Southern Caribbean.
No, it's not.
Disney.
It's on Fantasy, maybe? Yeah, the Fantasy. So we did entertain that and look at that. And ultimately, our children decided they wanted to be on the new ship. So that's what we settled on. But I would do it again. I would love it if Disney would add some new stops. The folks that we traveled with, my husband's family, is all going on Royal Caribbean next February on a 10-day that's hitting those islands that you just referenced, Chrissy. And so I'm considering maybe going with them. So we'll see. That itinerary looks great. But I would definitely do it again, because like you said, Lake, there's a lot of islands and stops that Disney doesn't hit.
And there's so many out there. So we're going to, come on, Disney, give us some new ones. Instead, they're like, best we can do is take islands away. Everybody just goes to Lookout.
And I would go on them. Yeah, they're great. Yeah, I agree.
Give us some more.
Give us some more. I mean, because after a while, you've seen one beach at one place. It's nice to go and explore a different area. So, and I would go on the Magic again in a minute. We love that ship. It's in such good condition, and you really just appreciate how well Disney takes care of the ship and its product, because it really doesn't look like it's as old as it is.
Funny enough, you said the exact same thing about the Wonder when we recorded that. And it's so true. They take such beautiful care of their ship.
I think after sailing on an older ship on Princess and being able to compare, it's just, there's nothing to compare. It's night and day difference as to how well Disney takes care of their ship.
Yeah, that's kind of the cool thing about the Magic and the Wonder, and how consistent the design has stayed through the Dream, the Fantasy, the Wish, and the Treasure, that it's such a timeless design that really you can look at the profile of all those ships, and yeah, there might be an extra slide or two into that profile, but they are all just so consistently and timelessly designed.
Agree. You know what you're going to get when you step inside, and you know that it's going to be good. And I think the fact that they still are taking it to dry dock and updating it, that helps, right? That helps draw people to it that might not, be more intrigued to go to like the Treasure or the Wish because they're newer, but they keep adding new things to the Magic. And that's what brought us back, was we wanted to see what they had updated since we had been on it last. And we were really pleased with all of the updates.
Well, I have just one more fun thing that I want to talk about before we bring this out. Kira, you are not recording from your home.
No, I'm not. I am recording from the Riviera. We are in a 1-bedroom villa, and we have been here for 9 days, and we are leaving, and we are here till Friday, and we are leaving on the Wish on Friday for a 3-night cruise that we're already thinking is going to be too short.
9 days?
Yeah.
I'm jealous.
Yeah, I've been here 9 days, and then we're here, till we leave Friday morning to go on the Wish, so...
And this will be your first time on a Wish class ship, right?
Yes, it will be.
What are you looking forward to experiencing?
I think we're looking forward to just exploring all the different bars and lounges, the adult spaces. I'm super excited about the new shows since I haven't seen those. Trying the new food. We actually did book Palo for brunch, but we purposely didn't book Palo for dinner because we wanted to experience all three of the restaurants in the rotational dining. I'm just hoping that we can figure out the lay of the ship a little bit before we get off of it. Yeah, we are staying on concierge on this as well. So I'm excited to see the concierge lounge and check that out as well.
It's so good. You're going to love it.
Yeah, we don't have anything planned for the Bahamas. We'll probably just stay on the ship. And then we love Castaway, and we haven't been there in a while because the last 2 Disney cruises that we've done were Alaska and the Southern Caribbean, and that one doesn't stop at Castaway. So it's been, since before COVID that we've been to Castaway. So we're very excited to get to Castaway.
Oh, amazing. We hope you have just an absolutely wonderful sailing.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, and thank you again for coming on and sharing your experience on the Magic in the Southern Caribbean.
It was great being here. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Well, Christy, where can our listeners follow you?
You can find me at Pack Your Pixie Dust on Instagram and Facebook and my website. And Lake, where can we find you?
You can follow me at MouseGen on Instagram and YouTube. And you can follow the podcast at DCL Podcast on Facebook and Instagram. But that is going to do it for this episode. Thank you all so much for listening, and we'll see you next time on the DCL Podcast. Bye, guys.
Bye, everyone.
Well, it's going to wrap up the show. Once again, we want to thank Kira for coming on and sharing her family's adventure on the Disney Magic. If you're enjoying the show, we greatly appreciate you leaving us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. We'd also like to thank our Patreons who help make this show happen each and every week for us. You too can help support the show by visiting us at patreon.com/DCL Podcast. Whether you're boarding a cruise, enjoying a trip to the parks, or adventuring outside of Disney, on behalf of myself, Christy, and Steve, we want to wish you smooth sailing and safe travels. And we'll see you next time on the DCL Podcast.
The DCL Podcast is unaffiliated with the Disney Cruise Line, Walt Disney Company, Adventures by Disney, or Run Disney. All of the opinions expressed on our shows are those of the hosts and the guests who appear on the show. If you have any questions about any of these products, please contact the Walt Disney Company.